I want to talk about manifestation. To be honest, when I sit here and wait for something to manifest, I realize that everything is already manifested before I can think about it. I think people talk about manifestation usually in terms of making something happen. It's nice to know that you don't have to make anything happen, that it's happening, so you can just let it happen. And then the actions that you need to take are natural. It's natural to focus on a goal that you might want. And yet, I recommend that you have some cognitive flexibility with regard to that. And you could have a certain dogged determination to achieve something, but try to listen within yourself and pay attention and notice if it's not working and adjust accordingly. And listen to your environment. I can't tell you how many times when I was younger that I tried doing something, going on a journey or trying something and getting feedback from my environment. Sometimes in a way that showed me that whatever I was doing was unskillful, was fraught with pitfalls, perhaps, because I was in my head about it. And I was coming up with my own ideas. I learned to surrender to and trust this, I keep saying higher power. I feel like we're in an AA meeting sometimes. I don't mean to convey that. I learned to listen within myself for the correct path or the next step to take. And I guess that is an AA thing, isn't it? Praying for the knowledge of God's will and the power to carry it out. We had a lot of AA 12-step culture in our family, so I'm kind of used to it. But I have no problem with it. But this is more than that. This is not just for people that want to quit drinking or quit using a substance or something like that. It's more like you want to transcend the self and wake up. So it's similar in that way. Usually, when I hear people talk about manifestation, there's some kind of mental effort to visualize or, in a way, force something to happen or to appear or to occur. You could try that. I did that too. I think it can have an effect. And the basic message I got back from that, and I tried this when I was a lot younger, I was in my 20s mainly, like visualizing something and wanting something, make it clear, put it in some positive frame where you somehow will that to happen. The feedback I got was, stop. I mean, it was kind. It was like, it's as if to say, yeah, we understand that you're trying to move forward in your life and you're trying to force this thing. You don't have to try so hard. We're here to help. Just trust. If you pray, if you meditate, if you're sincere, what comes to you is more natural. It's less mentally generated by some ego sense of trying to be powerful in the world as a worldly person who has power over others, or some kind of master of the universe kind of thing, which is really just a big ego fantasy. Sometimes I may have an idea to say something. So in this video, I don't know what I'm going to say before I say it, or a thought will come in. It arises. So in a sense, I'm manifesting the speech, saying something that's basically an idea. If I'm meant to know something, I'll know it. If I'm not meant to know something, I can't know it. In a sense of having a concept, like relative knowledge. If it won't come to me, great. That's actually a blessing. How do I know? Because it is. So I learned to trust that there's no separation between my personal lived sense of reality, that relative sense, and the absolute sense of the I am. God is, divinity is, I am that. Whatever that is all this is. What appears as the world is just a reflection of that. So if my state of consciousness shifts, then the world has no choice, if you will, but to shift. it's a reflection. It changes. If you're looking in the mirror and your face changes, you change your expression, the reflection doesn't have a choice. It just changes. Why? Because it's reflecting this. In a similar way, your fundamental state of consciousness gets reflected. So that's going to manifest as thoughts or ideas that may come to you. So if you get really clear about that and you get an idea to do something, try it out. Go on a quest. Do a pilgrimage, if you will. The teacher William Samuel, who I knew, said all pilgrimages are rewarded, which I thought was an interesting statement. Go find out. Check it out. If you're tuned in to a conscious state, basically, and you get this idea to do something and you start to do it, if it's in a sense not meant to be, you'll know. You'll get feedback. It'll be fraught with difficulty. Roadblocks will come up. Like, no, not doing that. I went on a trip one time. I got this idea to move to Las Vegas, and it wouldn't leave me alone. This is when I was much younger. I was in a pretty depressive state, actually, because I was stuck in my own thinking. That's what happens. It's like a sink. Everything just goes into it and just gets stuck there. And it's, ugh. And I didn't know what to do, but I wasn't ready to surrender yet. But I was praying about it. And this, it's like a voice of stillness. It's not audible. But it came to me and it said, move to Las Vegas. And I was thinking, what? In my mind, am I thinking like, what? Like, I didn't think of that. What is that? That doesn't make any sense. It wasn't like I had a blueprint that was in my head. And of course I'm depressed and I'm stuck. It's not working. But by God, I'm going to stick to my plan. That's how it goes. And then this comes to me completely like, where's this coming from? Even the question is a way of doubting the source of it or trying to dismiss it. So I did that. And of course, doubling down on my depressive situation that I was in, stuckness, it wouldn't leave me alone. Moved to Las Vegas. Eventually, it got to the point where, with my practice, with prayer, with meditation on it, it became clear that voice did not leave me alone. It just became, in a sense, again, it's not audible, but it got louder in the sense that the light was brighter, like, go. And of course, the mind says, why? But why? There's no reason. Do it. The I am doesn't think. It is. Do it. It's fun. It's interesting. So I finally decided, okay, I'm going to go. All right, universe, or, whatever I was thinking at the time, I'll do it. I'll go. I trusted it. It was clear to me this was bigger than me. It was calling me. It was directing me. So I set out on a journey to go to Las Vegas. I didn't think my car was up to the task, so I borrowed my parents' car. They were nice enough to let me use it. And about 30 minutes out of town, the air conditioner didn't work, so I thought, I'm just going to roll the windows down. The first time is the air conditioner's not working, and it's July in the South. And I'm going to Las Vegas. It's not exactly very cool in the summer there. But I think, what, I'll just roll the windows down. I'm just letting go, right? Trusting. Air conditioner's not working. Okay. All right, well, I'll do it anyway. I've heard the voice. I'm going to do it. So I rolled the windows down. And then at one point I noticed that, I think it was the driver's window, it wouldn't roll up. I had a reason I was going to roll it up. Maybe I was getting gas and I was going to roll the windows up when I went inside and it wasn't working. So there's kind of like strike number 2. Air conditioner's broken. Window won't roll up. Something came to me like, maybe this isn't the right time, but, I wasn't listening. In that moment, again, it's this idea that my own cognitive map is what I need to listen to. Or that voice of stillness was there, but I wasn't quite hearing it enough, or I wasn't listening to it. I would say hearing means you hear it. Listen means you act on it. So you hear, go to Las Vegas. That's hearing. Listening, this is just my language. Listening means you're going. You're doing it. I just remember when that window wasn't working, I'm like, okay, so I can't really secure the vehicle. I could lock it, but the window won't roll up. I'm going to be in Las Vegas with a car that doesn't work. But I thought, oh, but I've been hearing this voice, so I'm going to do it anyway. So I kept going, and I got as far as El Reno, Oklahoma. I don't want to insult anyone that's from there, and I don't mean to, but apparently they have a big prison there. That's what it's known for, El Reno. Some people will say, oh man, I got to go to El Reno. It doesn't mean freedom. It means they're going to lock you up for a while. So it's probably about 2 a.m., and I'm driving in this car where there's no air conditioning and the window's not working, and the engine just dies. The lights start blinking on the dashboard and the instrument cluster. I'm like coasting, going 60 miles an hour or whatever. And the power's off. It's power steering. I'm able to kind of steer it to the shoulder. Long story short is I had to call a tow truck. And this was back in the 90s. I think I had a cell phone, but we didn't have smartphones, so it didn't work very well. Someone came and picked me up, and I had to spend the night. There's no hotel available because it was so late at night. So I spent the night in this vehicle in the back seat. And I couldn't lock it, and the window's down, and I can't roll it up. And it's this town I've never been in the dead of night. I'm thinking, what the hell am I doing? I was scared, Anyway, I survived. I just imagine someone walking up on me in the middle of the night. Oh, there's a car and the window's down. Let's see what's in there. And, who knows? I mean, I was scared. I felt protected even then. There are some more things that happened that I'm not going to recount, but I had a sense of being protected. It's like strike one. Air conditioner's not working and it's the middle of the summer. You're going to the desert. Strike two. Window won't work. I'm like, I'm going to go anyway. Strike three. You ain't going. Good luck. Car won't run. That I heard. That I'm like, okay. So I managed to get the car repaired the next day, and I drove back. And it's a long journey. I drove back, and I did end up doing it, but I waited. And I listened more closely to what felt like when would be an appropriate time to go. And this time I rented a car. Tried to rent a good car that was in good repair. Made the journey. A lot of things happened on that journey. I feel important things, and I'll talk about that some other time. My point is that although I feel like that initial impulse was authentic, and I did eventually move to Las Vegas, and a lot of things happened that I can see was part of an unfoldment that led to what turned out to be this spiritual transformation. And that I needed to get out of where I was and just set it in motion and go. And Las Vegas just happened to be the place that was next. And it didn't make sense to my mind, but it made sense on a level that was hard to describe. Jesus calls it the still small voice. It's not audible. It's as if silence could become known in a way and speak, and yet it's not audible. And what I'm saying is, I started out talking about manifestation. If you want to be the change that you want to see, you can listen more deeply within yourself and allow it to arise naturally and pay attention, and it'll help you. You may wonder, okay, you heard this voice, you said go, and I went, and yet there are all these roadblocks. So what's that all about? This voice or this presence speaks to us or can speak to us if we can hear it, in a sense, all the time. And it doesn't necessarily intervene, it's just reality, but sometimes when we need it, it'll suggest a course of action. The thing is, it's always now, it's always in the moment. So it's not static. It's not like go to Las Vegas and then it abandons you. It'll let you know. You have to pay attention, you have to listen. It's a skill. And I had to learn that. We usually think the thought lines up with the action, and it usually does. But what is it that's moving us? It's tuning into that deeper level of reality that guides us when we wake up, we realize it's the thing that's doing it. Before that, we think we're a person with thoughts who has a thought, and then there's this deeper voice that comes to us, and it feels like maybe there's two things, but it's really just this one thing. So what happened with me is, yes, I could hear that, moved to Las Vegas, and yet it's like I checked out. You have to listen, be that stillness. And if that doesn't make sense, just let it speak to you. Just don't tune out. I was tuned out. I didn't know. The mind's noisy. I would get really determined to do it. It's like, okay, I hear this. Okay, I'll do it. The voice is saying go or do it. And then in your mind, you're like, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm determined. I remember that. I felt this determination, but it was just sort of mentally generated. Like, oh, I'm going to do this. Okay, I'm going to do it. But I was still holding on. I wasn't listening. So when the air conditioner didn't work, I'm like, ah. But there's a part of me that's like, maybe that's a sign that's not the right. But I'm like, no, I'm going to do it. And that was the mind coming back in. And then the window and so on. It's like, eventually, it was actually very kind that, I mean, like, did God shut off the engine of my car? It sounds ridiculous. All I knew was I wasn't going anywhere. Car wasn't going anywhere. In the beginning of his book, The Power of Now, I think it's in the introduction, Eckhart Tolle starts off with a story about a man who's sitting on a crate. And someone comes by and says, have you looked under the crate? And he says, there's nothing there. And he ends up looking under it, and there's gold, I think. So go to Las Vegas just means go to Las Vegas. It doesn't mean, we don't know what it means. The mind always like, okay, what am I going to find there? I want to know what it is before I get there. You're not ready. Just trust. There's this deepening of faith. And I would say, again, faith is not a belief. It's not some attachment. It's surrendering all that and listening within yourself and then being that. Waking up is just being it fully. I've just learned that. I don't know. So it moves, or there's a natural movement through life. And we have to be awake in the moment, or at least paying attention, in a sense, listening. And then you become more attuned in a way where you're not so gung-ho on your own sense of power. It's like I was trying to prove to myself that I was going to do it no matter what. And how can you know if you're meant to do it or not? You'll know. Just pay attention. It's an educational experience for me. And because of the prayer and the practice, I felt protected. So this idea of God goes before me to make the crooked places straight, you have to stay tuned into that. It's not like, okay, the way has been made, and then you're like, okay, and you shut it down and then go by your own power. No, you have to stay tuned in, or you'll run into a wall. It is kind of like you're trying to move around a room or navigate in a house with really dim lighting. It's almost dark, and you keep bumping into things. So tuning in to that higher power, that awareness, is like turning up the dimmer switch on the lights in that house, and you can see better, and so you don't run into things as much. But it's always in the moment. Don't check out. So if it comes to manifestation, let it arise within you. We know what your desire is, so make it known to yourself. I really want to be out of this difficult situation. See, I was depressed, and I was asking for help. And then the answer is go to Las Vegas. And there's a part of me like, well, what, but. And we learn to surrender that. And then we learn to pay attention as we go and listen. And you become more attuned. And it's a practice.